Okay, let's talk bread. Have you ever really stopped to think about why we love it so much? I mean, a simple slice of toast or, some amazing artisan sourdough.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere, isn't it? A real staple.
It really is. It's fundamental in so many kitchens. But then you walk into the grocery store, right?
Hmm?
And you hit that bread aisle.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
Mm.
Suddenly, it's not so simple. It feels like this maze of choices.
Exactly. It's kind of overwhelming, actually. All those labels shouting at you whole grain, multigrain, natural, healthy this, healthy that. A quick trip suddenly feels like homework.
And you just end up grabbing the usual, maybe hoping it's okay, but not really knowing.
Pretty much. And that's exactly what we want to help cut through today. We've dug through, well, a lot of sources, articles, research notes, you name it.
Yeah, we did. And this deep dive, it's basically your shortcut, your guide to navigating bread confidently. We want to help you figure out how bread fits your health goals so you can make choices that are genuinely informed. We're going way beyond just white versus wheat here.
Definitely. We'll look at tailoring your choices for specific needs like weight management or blood sugar. We'll demystify those nutrition labels. They can be tricky. And yes, we are absolutely going to dive into sourdough. It kept coming up in our sources.
Good,
Yeah.
because there's so much buzz around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What's really in your loaf? That term whole grain gets thrown around a lot. What does it actually mean?
Right. So when we talk whole grain, it means the entire grain kernel is used. You've got the bran, that's the outer layer, the germ, the little embryo bit, and the endosperm, which is the starchy part.
All three parts.
All three. Our sources really stress that keeping all those parts together is crucial because that's where the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, all the good stuff resides. The bran is fiber rich, the germ is packed with nutrients, and the endosperm provides the energy.
Okay, so that's the ideal.
Mm.
What happens then when grains are refined?
Mm-hmm.
Like in typical white bread, what are we losing?
Well, that's the big nutritional difference, isn't it? With refined flours, the bran and the germ, they're stripped away during milling.
Mm.
So you lose most of the fiber, most of those vitamins and minerals. You're basically left with just the starchy endosperm. It makes for a softer texture, maybe a longer shelf life, but nutritionally, it's much simpler, less complex.
And that brings us to something you mentioned that Shrap lots of us probably fall into. The wheat bread myth. You see that label wheat bread and think, okay, healthier choice. But maybe not.
Yeah, it's a really common mistake and honestly kind of deceptive. If a label just says wheat bread, it often means it's made mostly from refined wheat flour. They might even add a coloring to make it look brown and,
Yeah,
healthy.
Siki. So what should we be looking for?
The key phrase, and it needs to be the first ingredient, is 100% whole wheat, or maybe whole rye flour, whole oat flour, something specific like that, whole grain, whatever.
Mhm.
If it doesn't say 100% whole right at the start of the ingredients,
Then it's likely just brown-colored white bread, nutritionally speaking.
pretty much, yeah. You're not getting those whole grain benefits you think you are.
Okay, that's super important. So building on that, let's touch on some breads we should maybe be a bit more mindful about.
Mhm.
Not saying ban them. Sometimes you just want that specific taste, right?
Of course. It's about understanding, not demonizing.
Exactly. So white bread is the obvious starting point.
Yes, made from that refined flour we talked about, stripped of fiber and nutrients. And because there's little fiber to slow it down, your body digests it really quickly. It acts a lot like sugar, causing those fast spikes in blood sugar.
And can leave you feeling hungry again sooner, too.
Right. And then, like we just said, that wheat bread that isn't 100% whole, nutritionally, it's basically in the same boat. Minimal sustained energy or benefits.
What else did the sources flag as maybe less everyday choices?
Well, then you have the sweeter breads, things like brioche, those Hawaiian rolls everyone loves, many cinnamon raisin breads too. Delicious,
Oh, okay.
absolutely. But typically high in added sugar, often butter or oil too. More of a treat, really. And also breads like baguettes, ciabatta, focaccia, fantastic texture, great flavor. But again, usually made with refined flour, low in fiber, so they offer less nutritional bang for your buck and can also cause those blood sugar spikes.
Right. So the takeaway isn't never eat these. It's more about knowing what they are nutritionally so you can enjoy them,
Mm.
maybe less frequently. Make them a conscious choice rather than the default daily slice.
Precisely. It's about mindful consumption, knowing the score so you can make the best choice for you in that moment based on knowledge, not just habit or clever marketing.
Okay, perfect transition. Because healthy bread, as we said, isn't one single thing. It really depends on you, your body, your goals.
Yeah.
So let's get personal. How can you tailor your bread choice? Let's start with the big one, weight management.
Right. For weight management, the sources consistently point towards a few key things: high fiber, high protein, and definitely whole grains. The strategy here is really about satiety, feeling fuller for longer.
Which makes total sense for managing overall intake. Fiber is key for that feeling of fullness, right? It slows everything down.
Exactly. It slows digestion, helps stabilize blood sugar, and some research even suggests it can influence gut hormones related to hunger. And protein is vital too for that lasting satisfaction.
So what are the best bets in the bread aisle if that's your goal?
Okay, top choices would include 100% whole wheat bread. Can't go wrong with that classic. Rye bread is another great one, especially the dark, dense, whole grain kind, usually very high in
I
fiber.
find rye really filling.
It is. Also, oat bread made with whole oat flour or rolled oats. Oats are fantastic for satiety and bonus points for heart health too. And then there's sprouted grain bread, like the Ezekiel brand you often see.
Ah, yes, the frozen section usually.
Right. These are made from grains and legumes that have actually started to sprout. And that sprouting process, it seems to make the nutrients like protein and fiber more available for your body to use, easier to absorb. So if you want to feel satisfied and manage your intake, these are really strong options.
That's really helpful. Now, what if the main concern isn't just hunger, but actively managing blood sugar levels? Say, for someone with diabetes or prediabetes, how does the focus shift?
Okay, for blood sugar control, the glycemic index, or GI, becomes really important. It's basically a measure of how quickly a food raises your blood sugar, so the focus shifts to low GI
The
options.
lower slow, right?
Exactly. Low GI means slower digestion, slower absorption, and a much gentler, more gradual rise in blood sugar. No big spikes. You also want high fiber, ideally lower carb, and definitely no added sugars.
Got it. So which breads tend to have that lower GI profile?
Well, whole grain rye bread pops up again. It
Okay.
generally has one of the lowest GIs among common breads. Sprouted grain bread is also a good contender. That sprouting process seems to help lower the GI.
Interesting.
And sourdough, specifically whole grain sourdough. The fermentation creates these organic acids, and they naturally slow down how quickly the sugars get released into your bloodstream.
The fermentation magic. We'll
Oh.
get more into that.
Yep. And finally, there are specific low-carb or keto breads. These are formulated to be super high in fiber and protein, often using things like almond flour, coconut flour, flax seeds, stuff like that, to keep the digestible carbs really low.
That gives people quite a few avenues to explore, but I guess even with these better choices, portion size still matters. Right. You can't just eat unlimited amounts, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. Portion control is always key with blood sugar management. Even low GI bread has carbs. Think of it as one component of your meal. Pairing it with some lean protein or healthy fats, that helps slow digestion down even further. Really beneficial.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, digestive health. For some people, bread can cause discomfort, bloating, maybe just feeling heavy. What do the sources suggest for sensitive stomachs?
Yeah, that's quite common. Here the focus tends to be on two things: simplicity of ingredients and fermentation. A lot of modern, fast-risen bread can be tough on digestion for some.
Why is that?
It can be due to things like phytic acid, which can block mineral absorption, or maybe just the way the gluten develops so quickly. This is where sourdough really comes into its own again.
Because of that slow fermentation.
Exactly. That long natural fermentation process helps break down some of the gluten proteins and the phytic acid. This can make it much easier to digest, even for people with mild sensitivities. Not celiac, we'll get to that, but mild intolerance. Plus, sourdough has prebiotics.
Food for your good gut bacteria.
Right, supports a healthy gut environment. And sprouted grain bread comes up again here too.
It really is versatile.
It is. Sprouting also breaks down phytic acid and starches, reducing potential for bloating and discomfort. Makes nutrients easier to access too. And a simple tip: look for breads with a really short ingredient list. Fewer additives, preservatives, weird stuff. Less chance of irritation.
Just basic ingredients.
Yeah. And rye bread gets another mention here. It has less gluten than wheat. Plus, that high fiber content can help with regularity. So, if bread sometimes gives you trouble, these options, sourdough, sprouted, simple ingredients, maybe rye, are definitely worth exploring.
Great suggestions. Okay, last specific group, and a really important one. Gluten sensitivity or actual celiac disease. What's the absolute must-know here?
Non-negotiable. You must look for a certified gluten-free label. That certification is crucial. It usually means the bread is made in a dedicated facility, which minimizes the risk of cross-contamination with gluten-containing grains. That's vital for celiac disease.
Yeah, even tiny amounts can cause problems for someone with celiac. So, assuming it's certified GF, what are some good gluten-free bread options that are also nutritious?
There are quite a few now. Brown rice flour is a common base, often gives a lighter texture. Almond flour breads are usually nutrient-dense, lower in carbs, higher in protein. buckwheat bread, and remember, buckwheat is totally unrelated to wheat. It's gluten-free, has a nice earthy flavor.
What about oat bread?
Oat bread can be great, but oats are often cross-contaminated during processing. So again, it must have that certified GF label to be safe. And then you see a lot of seed-based breads now, often using flax, chia, sunflower seeds. They tend to be dense, very filling, and packed with nutrients and healthy fats.
So even within the GF category, you still need to read the label carefully. It's not just about avoiding gluten, but finding nutritional value too.
Exactly right. Some GF breads are made with refined starches, like potato starch or tapioca starch, and might be low in fiber or other nutrients. So all those label reading skills we're about to discuss still totally apply. You want nutrient-dense and gluten-free.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned sourdough a few times for different benefits. It kept popping up in our sources too. Let's really dive into that. Is all the hype around sourdough justified?
You know, based on the research we looked at, a lot of the hype is real. It's quite unique. Sourdough isn't made with commercial yeast like most breads. It uses a starter.
That living, bubbly mixture.
That's the one. Flour, water, wild yeasts, and a beneficial bacteria, specifically lactic acid bacteria. This living culture ferments the dough slowly, and that's what creates the tangy flavor, the chewy texture, and importantly, a lot of the health perks.
And it's this slow fermentation that's the key to those benefits. What does it actually do?
It does several interesting things. First, it improves nutrient absorption. That fermentation process breaks down phytic acid that compound in grains that can block mineral absorption. So with sourdough, your body can actually absorb more of the iron, zinc, calcium, and other minerals present in the flour.
Wow, okay, so you're getting more out of the grain itself. That's significant. What else?
It also generally results in a lower glycemic index compared to standard bread made with the same flour. Those organic acids produced during fermentation slow down starch digestion, so less of a blood sugar spike.
Good for energy levels.
Definitely. And it provides prebiotics, those indigestible fibers that feed your good gut bacteria. Sourdough's fermentation process encourages those, which is great for overall gut health and even immune function.
Now, I've heard people say it's easier on digestion, maybe even okay for gluten sensitivity. Is it gluten-free then?
Okay, this is super important, and we need to be really clear. Sourdough bread is not gluten-free. It's typically made from wheat flour, which contains gluten.
Right.
However, the long fermentation does help break down some of the gluten proteins. This can make it easier for some people with mild non-celiac gluten sensitivity to digest compared to regular bread. But for anyone with celiac disease, absolutely not safe. Still contains gluten.
Okay, crucial distinction. Digestibility improved for some, but definitely not gluten-free. Any other benefits? Probiotics.
Well, the baking process kills most live bacteria, so it's not really a significant source of live probiotics like yogurt is. But the process itself involves those beneficial bacteria, and it contributes to the overall gut-friendly nature with the prebiotics.
Got it. So if I want these benefits, does any loaf-labeled sourdough work, or do I need to be picky?
Authenticity really matters here. True, traditional sourdough is made simply: flour, water, salt, and the starter culture. You often find this kind at artisan bakeries or maybe a farmer's market.
What about the supermarket loaves?
You have to be careful. Some mass-produced breads labeled sourdough might just use sourdough flavoring, or they might add commercial yeast to speed things up, plus other additives. This can really diminish those unique fermentation benefits. Look for a simple ingredient list.
So check the label even for sourdough.
Always. But overall, yeah, the hype is largely based on real benefits. Sourdough isn't a magic bullet, but it offers some definite advantages for digestion, nutrient absorption, and blood sugar for many people. A pretty wholesome choice.
Okay, this is all great knowledge about types of bread. But the rubber really meets the road in the supermarket aisle, doesn't it? How do you actually apply this, that nutrition label?
Yeah.
That's your superpower, right?
Absolutely. That label is your verification tool. You can know all about sourdough and sprouted grains, but if you can't quickly scan that label and confirm what you're actually getting, you're still guessing. This is where you take control.
All right, let's break it down. What are the absolute key things to zoom in on? First ingredient, you said earlier, is critical.
Non-negotiable. It must say whole grain flour, like 100% whole wheat flour, whole oat flour, whole rye. If the first thing listed is enriched flour, wheat flour without whole or bleached flour, put it back. That's refined.
Got it. Step one, check the first ingredient. What's next? Fiber.
Yes. Look at the fiber content per slice or serving. Aim for at least, say, 2 to 3 grams of fiber per slice. That's a good benchmark for supporting digestion and helping you feel full.
And protein contributes to fullness, too. What's a good number there?
Yeah, look for around 3 to 5 grams of protein per slice. Helps with satiety. Then sugar. You want this low.
How low?
Try to aim for less than 2 or 3 grams of sugar per slice. And peek at the ingredients list too. Make sure sugar, high fructose corn syrup, or other sweeteners aren't listed right near the top.
Good point. What else on that label?
Ingredients list length. Generally, shorter is better. If it's full of words you can't pronounce, maybe reconsider. Look for recognizable, simple ingredients. And don't forget sodium. Bread can be surprisingly high in salt.
Really? Didn't think about that.
Yeah, it adds up. Aim for lower sodium options if you can. Maybe less than 200 milligrams per serving, especially if you're watching your blood pressure.
Okay, first ingredient, fiber, protein, sugar, ingredients list, sodium. That's a solid checklist. But what about the serving size itself? 2 slices might be way different from 1 thick slice on the label.
Crucial point. Always check the serving size the nutrition facts are based on. Is it 1 slice? 2 slices? A specific weight? Even the healthiest bread adds calories and carbs, so portion control based on that serving size is still really important. Stick to maybe 1-2 slices per meal, depending on your needs.
And pairing it wisely helps too,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely. Pair it with protein, healthy fats, lots of veggies. That makes for a balanced meal and helps manage the overall impact.
Perfect. Armed with this, you really can walk into that confusing bread aisle and feel confident. Like you know exactly what to look for to match your needs. It's about making that choice work for you.
Exactly. Puts you in the driver's seat. No more guessing games.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into decoding your loaf. We've journeyed from the basics of whole grains, busted that wheat bread myth, explored how to pick breads for goals like weight management or blood sugar control, tackled digestive health, demystified sourdough, and finally, equipped you to read those labels like a pro.
Yeah, the big takeaway really is that your bread choice can make a difference. It's not just filler. Understanding whole grains, appreciating what fermentation can do, and knowing how to read that label, these are powerful tools for making choices that genuinely support your well-being.
So here's a final thought for you. Next time you pick up a slice of bread, maybe pause for a second. Think about more than just the taste. Consider that amazing journey from grain to loaf, and maybe think about the quiet work it's doing inside your body. Ask yourself, how does this bread make me feel? And based on everything we've talked about, what new choice might you be curious to try next time? Listen to your body, use the knowledge, and find your perfect loaf.